Zuraragi here, coming to another video review. Today, as you can see, I'll be taking a look at the 1 to 100 scale, no-grade, Infinite Justice Gundam from Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny. Here you can see his size compared to a soda can, and a kitty cat. Let's just get that out of there. His colors are unique. Mostly bright salmon pink, although it's coming off almost orange on camera. A bit of a light gray, some white, some yellow, some weird blue, don't paw at the Gundam, some very dark, sort of grayish black, and then just some sticker details here and there. View from above and below. As far as posability goes, it's pretty good, but it's a Gundam model, so that's to be expected at this point. Head's on a ball joint, side to side, swivel, back and forth. There is also a hinge in the body, so the head can do the whole chicken dance thing. There is a joint in the body for the arm, allows it to move back and forth, as well as up and down just a little bit. Arms can go all the way around, that far out to the side. Then there is a swivel just below the shoulder. There are 2 points of articulation in the elbow, allows the elbow to bend that far, so pretty good. There is a ball joint in the wrist, in and out, side to side, and rotate. There's just a simple swivel in the waist, so side to side. Front skirts are separate pieces, up and down, in and out a little bit, back and forth. Side skirts are on swivel hinges, in and out, back and forth. Front skirt can't, or back skirt can't move at all. Don't take any of the accessories with you, please. Back skirt doesn't move at all. Legs can move forward that far, back that far, out to the side that far. It's on a ball joint, so it can swivel a little bit. There are 2 points of articulation in the knees, so the knees can overall bend that far, so pretty good. And there is another swivel hinge in the shin, allows the foot to move back and forth and side to side. And there is a ball joint in the foot itself, so side to side, swivel, back and forth, and the ankle armor can move up and down. So overall, posability is pretty good, but nothing phenomenal. You can get pretty much all the poses you need to worry about. As you saw just a moment ago, he has quite a few accessories, so I guess we'll just start going down the list. First, he has his twin beam sabers. They're just white pieces of plastic with ports on the top. Nothing too extreme there. Comes with 2 translucent pink beams. Getting him to equip it isn't too difficult. Port, post, plug it in, and then just drop it into his hand. It's not the most secure of connections, but it's not going to just flop out at a moment's notice. Now, as with many of the Seed era suits, if I can get this out, he does come with a accessory to make the double-edged Darth Maul style beam saber that some of the suits use, which is just a single long piece with ports on either end, so you can plug beam blades on both sides and get a fairly big beam saber going on. It's fairly tall as well. Get him to equip it, you just take this end off, drop the whole thing into his hand, and then put the other end back on. And there he is with it equipped. And you can sort of try and balance it in the middle somewhere, but I wouldn't count on it staying there for too long. Now, of course, the single beam sabers can be stored on him. There are just cavities on his side skirts that these will just drop into and slot in. Just, yay. Just like that. And one on the other side. Again, as is a recurring theme with this kit, it is not the most secure of connections, but as long as you're not too ham-handed, it's not going to go anywhere. He also has his beam rifle, which is that same light purplish blue with a few some white pieces on the outside. Not a whole lot to it. The scope can move side to side. Getting him to equip that isn't overly difficult. It's usually easiest to pop the hand out. Stop falling out. Anyway, just remove the fingers from the main part of the hand. Wrap the fingers around the grip. And then put this side of the hand back in place. And then pop the hand back on. And there he is equipping the rifle. Odd looking, but it matches the aesthetic. Now, of course, you can store the beam rifle. All you need to do is take the scope, bring it to the side, and then there's a tab on this side of the rifle that can go into a slot on the back skirt. Just like that. And there it is stored. It doesn't inhibit posability too much, but it does get in the way a little bit. Let's see, where do we want to move next? Right. A bit of an odd accessory he has are these two slightly slanted clear pink beams. Now you're probably wondering what these are for, and these are actually for his leg beams. Yes, that's right, leg beams. Because you see, these blue parts on his knee and his feet are actually beam emitters. So you take this clear piece and take the bigger tab, put it into his knee, and then just maneuver the bottom piece so it ends up in his foot. And he now has a weird beam going on his leg. Because why the hell not? And of course he has two of them, so you can get both legs armed up. Make it look extra weird. Now for the next of his more robust accessories, we have his shield. Mostly white plastic, some of that light purplish blue, and then dark purple plastic. It attaches very simply. There are just slots on the sides of his arms and a tab right there. And what you see is what you get. Of course, you can pivot if you need it to. Now it's a bit of a robust accessory because there's more than just this to it. The next part that goes with it is the beam boomerang, which as you can see is a big pink piece of plastic with this grayish purple piece that can hinge. It has a large pink beam of its own, very big. You can just slot it into there. And it has two configurations. It has beam sword mode, which as you can see makes a very big sword, or beam boomerang mode, which makes a very big boomerang. Of course, you get him to equip it the same as the rifle. Take off the hand, take the fingers off. wrap the fingers around the handle, put the rest of the hand back on, and then put his hand back onto his arm. And again, he doesn't hold it tightly at all. But beam boomerang, beam sword. Simple as that. Now, of course, the beam boomerang can be stored, and it goes on the shield. There's this slanted section right here, which is what the beam boomerang actually goes into. This piece goes into the hole at the end, and then the handle slots into there. Just like that. Just get that lined up, and there you go. And even when it's in the shield like that, it can still be used as a weapon. You can just take the blade and slot it into there, and you can have a shield that can stab people. One more accessory to go with his arm before we get him too cluttered up is you can give him a secondary left hand that is splayed open for action scenes, and it goes on very easily. Just take the existing hand out of the ball socket, put the ball joint into the ball socket. Easy peasy. And that beam saber just came out again. Stay. Now the next accessory we have, I don't actually know what to call it. This thing. Sort of guitar shaped, but then it also has this pincer. I guess it's just a grappling hook. The way it attaches is you have this long piece of black bendy wire with a gray piece here and a gray piece on the other end, and this gray slot port thing goes on here, and then on the of course, and then on the shield you take this little diamond shaped piece off, and there's a little slot and groove in there that this can go into. It does take a bit of doing, but it can be done. And then you can just sort of move the bendy wire around to get any poses you want. Just be aware that this is a heavy piece of plastic and it's a simple bendy wire. So you can't get too extreme poses, but you can get some basic poses. And the reason I went off camera there is because that bendy wire is a pain in the neck to get out of the shield. Anyway, of course, the grappling hook can be stored back on the shield. There's just that same indentation that this post goes into, and that sits in there just like that. Now, before I put this purple piece back on, the next accessory I'll cover is his beam shield, which is a large piece of translucent blue plastic. There's quite a bit of detail carved onto it. Now we get it to equip. There is just a notched port right here that matches up with the post on this piece. Just get those two lined up. And then just take this post and put it into the port on the shield. And there you go. He now has a double shield for reasons. I've never really understood why he needs a beam shield on top of his regular shield. That always seemed a bit redundant to me, but hey, I'm not the one that designs these things. Now that covers most of the accessories that go on him. The last accessory we have, and I'll be moving him back so you can get a closer look at it, is his backpack, which has quite a bit of detail, mostly purple with some white, yellow, black, gray, and that same purplish blue. It does have a little bit of posability. The wings are on hinges and go in and out like that. This main thruster section can sort of wiggle, and these cannons can fold out. Now it does have two modes. It has this storage mode where it goes on his back, but it also has a flight mode where you take this section and swing it out on this double hinge and just get it straightened out like that. Flare out the wings, and now it's ready to fly on its own. Now it has one thing you can do where you bring down these handles. Let's bring down this one. And the Justice can grip onto it. Just slide the handle into his hand, and now I can carry him around. Again, it can already fly, so I don't see why he needs that, but again, whatever. It does have one accessory weapon of its own. These straight, flat, translucent pink beams, and these go on the fronts of the wings. There's a slot here and a slot here. You just need to get that lined up. So one tab goes in there, one tab goes into there, and then it just gets lined up, and you have this backpack ready to carve some people in two. If I can get the tab in. And there is the backpack ready to hurt some people. Pretty cool. Now, of course, I keep calling it a backpack, but I haven't shown you exactly how it is a backpack. Just fold that back up, and these back down, fold these down. Now, these two little arms here you want to bring down. Now, these arms are going to go into these mounting ports on his back. So just plug them in. One problem is this makes him very back heavy, so if you just have him in a regular pose like that, he doesn't stand, so you kind of have to lean him forward at an odd angle. But he will stand on his own. Now, of course, you can put the blades on the wings and flare the wings out. One last feature this has is you can bring this down and face it forward. But his V-fin gets in the way, so you have two options. Take his V-fin off, or just take his entire head off. And personally, I find just taking his head off to be easier. So let's just do that. So, pop that off. Now there are two large tabs here. They'll go into slots on the shoulders. So swing this up. Lock it down. And then fold out these cannons. And then just pop the head back on. And then, of course, you can flare the wings out if you want. And this is the weird combat flight mode. And like this, there is no way you're going to get him to stand on his own with this monstrosity going on back there. I will admit, it looks very, very cool. Very big, very powerful looking. But that basically does it. That finishes up my review of the 1 to 100th scale. Come on, stand. That finishes my review of the 1 to 100th scale, no grade, Infinite Justice Gundam. So, as usual, if you or someone you know likes to collect Gundam model kits or model kits of any kind, but just doesn't have the situation to build them, let me know and we can work something out on that end. But until then, bye-bye.